Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report powered by ANC.com. South Africa is a movie. Welcome to the watch party. We are back, and so is the Madlanga Commission, and we have so much more to tell you with so many different allegations involving so many different people. And that's just from the new revelations that General Mkhwanazi told us last Friday. And we have to talk about what National Police Commissioner Fanie Masemola said yesterday involving mysterious envelopes with bribes around the murder, the assassination of an engineer in the Val called Armand Swart. You may have already seen our TV show last night with the big old whiteboard of all of the connections. But today on the show, we're going to go a little deeper. We're going to talk about Fanie Masemola. We're going to explain properly as best we can, listen properly, about all that is going on with, as I think we can all now agree, the most impactful and important thing to happen in modern day South Africa that will shape the future of South Africa. The only place that you can watch the full show is at the link in the description if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, click a like and a subscribe, please. We always forget to ask for that. And while you're down there, you'll see another link, which is to our merchandise website, www.3beaniesnetwork.com. You can get Settle Down Brother merchandise like I'm wearing right now. I first and foremost want to catch you up on the last things that General Mkhwanazi said, because there were so many bombshells on Wednesday and Thursday. I think a lot of what General Mkhwanazi even said on Thursday evening or afternoon was lost in the wash of the weekend. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to work through all of the remaining General Mkhwanazi big bombshells so that you understand all of the allegations of all of the different people. And then we're going to talk about National Police Commissioner Fanie Masemola's testimony yesterday. We spoke last week about General Mkhwanazi saying that Fadil Adams and Diane Kohler-Barnard of the National Coloured Congress and the Democratic Alliance, respectively, in his view, had been part of a concerted strategy to undermine investigations by cops into powerful people. But what he went into further on Thursday and Friday were a couple of specific people who he views General Mkhwanazi as being allegedly in the center of massive criminal networks. You know both their names. We're going to go deeper into them now. Cat Matlala and KT Molefe. Okay, so Cat Matlala is currently in jail. He's on trial. He's being held for money laundering or alleged money laundering and the alleged attempt to assassinate his ex-girlfriend Tebogo Tobayane. Cat Matlala, according to General Mkhwanazi, remains very thick as thieves, thick as criminals with key members of the South African Police Service. According to General Mkhwanazi's testimony, Cat Matlala had access to sensitive information about police investigations that were not supposed to be accessible to anybody but the police who were involved in those investigations. Cat Matlala, according to Mkhwanazi, had political protection. He didn't say specifically Senzo Mchunu in this case, but he spoke about Cat Matlala apparently having politicians looking out for him and trying to thwart and undermine investigations into alleged criminal activities of Cat Matlala. This is connected to people like Mogotsi, the ANC fixer from the northern parts of the country that we now know so much about. Mogotsi, who Cat Matlala is directly connected to by evidence of Cat Matlala's cell phone. Remember, Cat Matlala's cell phone also shows direct link evidence between Cat Matlala and former police minister Becky Cele, who he met up with in a mansion with somebody deeply involved and implicated in the Tembisa hospital scandal, the alleged tender fraud scandal for which assets have now been seized. That specific person is Maumela, the guy who is Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew by a previous marriage, not by blood. There is so much going on here that I'm just trying to hold all at once. The last thing that Cat Matlala had, General Mkhwanazi said, was blue light brigade privileges fitted onto his cars by another Mkhwanazi. Don't get it confused. There's another Mkhwanazi called Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi from, I think, Ekurhuleni, if I remember correctly, who General Madlanga Mkhwanazi says had Cat Matlala's cars fitted with blue lights privileges, which again, as a regular normal citizen in South Africa, is absolutely insane. So that is regarding Cat Matlala, what General Mkhwanazi spoke about late last week into the weekend. Gen Mkhwanazi also spoke about the fact that KT Molefe, the Santon businessman who was arrested, and extraordinarily, Kenny Kunene was at his house when he was arrested. By the way, Kenny Kunene now cleared allegedly of any wrongdoing by an investigation as announced by the Patriotic Alliance and running to be mayor of Johannesburg against Helen Zille. So all this is happening at once. And Gen Mkhwanazi also said that KT Molefe and Cat Matlala, he has evidence of them funding and donating money to ANC activities, including events of Senzo Mchunu, the on special leave police minister acting. James, are you shaking your head that I said something wrong, or that you're shocked? You're re-shocked. You're freshly shocked by all of this.
What is amazing is that we are working through the spider web, and I've heard you say this story so many times.
9 or 10 times.
And it still shocks me every time.
It's crazy.
I keep forgetting stuff.
What's wild is I've just told you so many things. I have so much more to say on all of this, and I'm worried that I've left stuff out. But that's just what I'm going to park there for now, because now we need to talk about Armand, Swart, Q-Tech, and Transnet. Okay, so Q-Tech is a company that was providing springs to Transnet for R3.20 each. And then Q-Tech discovered that actually Transnet was spending, I think on a middleman or some kind of like in-betweener contract or whatever, Transnet was spending 152 Rand per spring. Not to Q-Tech, this firm that was providing the springs for R3.20, but to someone else or some other shady business involved in this chain. Armand Swart was an engineer at Q-Tech, and he was assassinated when Q-Tech tried to report the fact 3 people were arrested, 2 hitmen, and 1 former detective in Johannesburg called Michael Pule Tau, not to be confused with Parks Tau, which is why I will consistently use his full name, Michael Pule Tau. Now, General Mkhwanazi said that Michael Pule Tau was released on an extremely dodgy bail that should never have been allowed, that there was real red flag warning signs that in other situations would have stopped someone from being given bail, but Michael Pule Tau was released on bail pending this court case. So General Mkhwanazi was saying that something must have happened between the prosecutor, the magistrate, the people making the decisions to get Michael Pule Tau off. But General Mkhwanazi also said that the investigating team from SAPS into this assassination, they were investigating the 2 hitmen and Michael Pule Tau, felt threatened for a number of reasons. One, that SAPS higher-ups were getting involved in the investigation of this case in a way that they don't usually do. 2, that they were offered bribes to not oppose the bail of Michael Pule Tau. And 3, that they were struggling to get even the most basic reports from other departments like forensics and ballistic services into this murder, which was stymieing and slowing down the investigating team's investigation. And at that point, that was why Dumisani Khumalo, head of crime intelligence, then asked that the political killings task team in KZN get involved in the investigations into this case in Gauteng. And then General Mkhwanazi said that eventually on the 30th of December last year, the PKTT, the Political Killings Task Team, and the Gauteng investigators got a ballistics report that linked the firearm used to kill Armand Swart with other high-profile cases under investigation in the province. In case you don't know, it's quite common for criminal networks to reuse the same firearm on multiple attempted hits on different people. And so if you can get a ballistics report on the firearm used in a particular murder attempt, whether it's successful or not, you can link that to other attempted murders, and that can allow you to reliably connect different people on an investigation in different cases for attempting to murder someone with each other. So apparently the ballistics report came in on the 30th of December, and the next day, Senzo Mchunu moved to try and disband the political killings task team, which is fishy no matter what. That is fishy in a harbor, the fish is rotting. And the more that I just want to mention to you is that Cat Matlala, amongst others, are also connected with the Tembisa hospital tender scandal. We had Jeff Wicks on the show last night. He's written a book called The Shadow State about Babita Deokaran, the person who blew the whistle on minimum, it seems, 2.3 billion Rand fleeced from Tembisa Hospital through hundreds of seemingly fake companies owned by a few people, where they were price gouging on basic services, basic provision of supplies to Tembisa Hospital. Babita Deokaran was then killed for reporting on that. That was like 4 years ago. And the reason why I bring this up is that a lot of what Jeff Wicks has reported on is involved in this investigation because Cat Matlala is linked to that Tembisa hospital fleecing also. And as I mentioned earlier, Cyril Ramaphosa's nephew by a previous marriage, Maumela, is also one of the key people under investigation with properties seized in that Tembisa hospital case. So all of these different things are connected. And then over the weekend, there was a big fight online about whether or not Gen Mkhwanazi should have provided more evidence for the claims that he was making. He offered evidence for some claims, but not all. There was a lot of back and forth about this. The only thing I want to say on it now is that he didn't provide evidence in the moment of those first 3 days of testimony for a lot of what he claimed, but he did say that there was evidence coming that was going to be provided. And I'm willing to say that he probably made the tactical call that he would only have South Africa's attention really for 3 days, and he wanted to lay out everything that he was claiming such that we would follow all of those strands as they unfolded over the rest of the commission. He wanted his narrative and the things that he found important to be focused on and followed, rather than losing some time working through some evidence in front of the commission in the first 3 days, which would then cause him to lose time to be able to talk about an agenda set, other stuff coming up. So I don't think we should get too worried yet about evidence, because the evidence is coming, and the people who he has made allegations about are going to come with counter evidence and defend themselves and try and show that he is lying or not telling the truth. I think we just need to sit tight and understand that in the first 3 days, Mkhwanazi said, this is the roadmap of all the things that I want you to cover and investigate in this commission, and the evidence is on the way.
I think it's justified for people to feel so stoked about Mkhwanazi, because we have been in a bad way for a long time in terms of corruption, and we've wanted a hero for that for a long time. So I understand people's optimism. That does not mean anyone who is perceived to be questioning Mkhwanazi is against him. And I think that's super important. Like,
totally.
A lot of journalists have got a lot of flack for asking where the evidence is. They are not saying he has no evidence. They are just saying the natural process is everyone makes their statements, everyone makes their claims, everyone says their thing, and then you find the truth once you've heard all of that. You don't take the first statement and take it as pure fact without ever investigating it. And Mkhwanazi has said evidence is coming. No one is saying it's not coming. They're just saying don't take everything as fact immediately until we've heard the full story, which is what journalists are trained to do.
And it's what all people should do.
All people should do
Go,
this.
cool, that was claimed. We are going to think about if it is true, what that means. And then we're going to see the evidence and judge whether or not it is the truth. That is the perfectly reasonable way. Like, we cannot be treating anybody in this commission, and we should never treat anybody in a commission on blind faith they're telling the truth from the start. As much as I will say that what Gen Mkhwanazi has specifically said about alleged crime kingpins like Cat Matlala and KT Molefe make me tend to believe him, because, as Jeff Wicks said on our show yesterday, a lot of what he's talking about is backed up by journalistic investigations that have already happened.
People have accused Jeff Wicks of being anti-Mkhwanazi, even though he 3 years ago reported on the blue light thing with Cat Matlala that then Mkhwanazi corroborated last week.
It's crazy.
I don't understand, but I do just think, like, just because you call for evidence doesn't mean that you are anti-Mkhwanazi. I think that's important.
Well, we do understand, I want to say, because we know that Twitter is at least half of it a bot-created, bot-dominated, fake place. And there are clearly now, after the first 3 days of Mkhwanazi evidence, a lot of people with agendas trying to wash their reputations, defend themselves, call into question different people and undermine different people. And it's all happening at the same time. That's what's wild, is seeing all of these anonymous bots with AI-generated profile pictures fighting with each other. Nonetheless, let's talk about Fanie Masemola. He took the stand yesterday. It was interesting. He's the police commissioner. He's right in the middle of a lot of this, because he chose to try and stop the disbanding of the political killings task team, even though his minister, Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, tasked that task team be disbanded. The reason why Shadrach Sabir is such a big figure, the Deputy National Commissioner now on suspension, is because Mchunu then basically went through Sabir or with Sabir to take those dockets away from the task team and try and stop them from doing their work. And so the commission asked Fanie Masemola, when do you not listen to the police minister? And this is an important thing to think about, because the police minister has certain roles and the police commissioner has certain roles. Police commissioner, their job is to try and be independent and follow the pursuit of justice wherever it leads them, irrespective of political instincts. But the police minister's job is to represent the voted for will of the people over how the police should be run. And you need both of those things in a properly functioning country so that neither the politics nor the police can go rogue and do whatever they want. And what Masemola was saying is that according to him, Senzo Mchunu had no right in his role as police minister to disband the political killings task team because according to Masemola's interpretation, that wasn't a matter of policy. He sees the police minister's role as a matter of policy, not of the minutiae of implementation, like whether or not you disband a task team or you create a task team. And he was asked a lot about this because the commission was trying to understand when, in Masemola's view, he would ignore or disobey the police minister and when he wouldn't. And this is going to be an absolutely massive contestation in this case, in this commission, because Senzo Mchunu is coming to the commission. And one of the things that he's going to do is explain why he tried to disband the task team. He's spoken on record for over a year now about, or nearly a year at least now, about how he felt like the task team had served its purpose and was no longer achieving anything and was a waste of resources and was no longer needed. That he's been on record talking about that. And this is going to be a huge fight. And then the other thing that Masemola spoke on, although he clearly explicitly said this is hearsay, he does not have evidence of this. But if we loop back to the Armand Swart assassination investigation, Fanie Masemola said that he heard about envelopes being assigned to bribe and pay off different key people in that case. He spoke about 3 envelopes, one for the team of investigators, one for the prosecutor, and one for the magistrate involved that he said, and he again said this is hearsay, but he said, if this is true, then those are the 3 bribed envelopes to get Michael Puletau off, to get him out on bail. You bribe the magistrate, you bribe the prosecutor, you bribe the investigating team, and you get him out on that dodgy bail. And again, we have to treat this, and Masemola, to his credit, said, this is hearsay. I don't have evidence of this at this point. But remember, in a commission, as we saw with Zondo, as soon as some people start speaking, other people start speaking, and maybe evidence does down the line come to light as people become more brave or feel more compelled to defend themselves. But Masemola added to Mkhwanazi's testimony about the dodginess of that bail involving Michael Puletau and the potential, or at least the allegation, that people were trying to pay to make Michael Puletau's case go away and to help him to get out on bail. So, hilarious that I'm now going to say those are the headlines. I've just spoken pretty much for 20 minutes flat out about all this. But the reason why it's important that we all drink this in and really remember this stuff is that the rest of this commission is not going to be this much huge information deluge. The rest of this commission is largely going to be fighting over this. All the stuff that we've covered, all the stuff that we've spoken about. Your Fadil Adamses, your Diane Kolabanas, your Shadrach Sabias, all these people are going to come before the commission. They're going to bring new stuff to defend themselves. They're going to bring evidence to try and absolve themselves of guilt or responsibility. And Mkhwanazi's team is going to bring evidence of to try and back up what he has said. But it's laid out now. The path is now clear.